In the Star Wars universe, there are so many things that we could say, what if? What if Luke Skywalker never blew up the first Death Star? What if Lando Calrissian and Nien did not make it out of the second Death Star after they exploded it? What if Boba Fett didn't track the Millennium Falcon to Cloud City? It would have changed a lot of things. But a big what if that a lot of people talk about is, what if Qui-Gon Jinn had survived the battle with Obi-Wan Kenobi against Darth Maul and been allowed to train Anakin Skywalker? What would have changed in the future of the galaxy, not just for Anakin Skywalker, but for the galaxy as well? Now, I'm probably going to have a different take on this than the other videos you've seen from other people about whether Qui-Gon was the right fit for Anakin or not. But stick around to the end. You're either going to hate this theory or you're going to absolutely love it. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Gerald, and I'm a Star Wars fanatic, and you can be a Star Wars fanatic too. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications. Subscribing is absolutely free. We may not agree on every topic that I talk about, but we do agree on one thing. We love Star Wars. Okay, with that said, let's get on with today's topic. Now, it's easy to say, what if this happened? Anakin wouldn't turn to the dark side. Or what if this person had helped Anakin? He wouldn't have turned to the dark side. He wouldn't have became Darth Vader. He wouldn't have hunted down the Jedi, and so on and so forth. And one of those is, what if Qui-Gon Jinn had survived and taught Anakin, took him as an apprentice, and made him a Jedi himself? It's easy to say it would have turned out differently, because Qui-Gon didn't survive, because Anakin did turn to the dark side, because Obi-Wan Kenobi did train Anakin. So it's easy to say, what if Qui-Gon had survived and trained Anakin? And it's also easy to say Anakin would have turned out differently. He wouldn't have turned to the dark side and became Darth Vader had Qui-Gon been his mentor, that Qui-Gon was more well-rooted, that Qui-Gon would have been able to deal with Anakin's emotions a little bit better, and he would have been able to deal with the situation that Anakin was dealing with internally with his mother and with Padme and the visions and losing his mother and losing Padme potentially, that Qui-Gon would have been better capable of doing that. Or would he have? Like I said, this is going to be a different response to that what if. What if Qui-Gon had trained Anakin Skywalker? I keep saying that over and over. I need to stop. But what if he had? Would things have changed? Well, let's look at the experiences. Qui-Gon didn't just have Obi-Wan Kenobi as his first apprentice. If you go by the legend stories, he had another one named Xanatos. And before that, he had a different Padawan. But Xanatos had turned to the dark side. Now, this isn't saying that I believe in the Legends tales anymore. I mean, Disney did strike them from canon, and George Lucas never really confirmed whether they were canon to begin with. But they were great stories, and this was a great story, but it can be some kind of indication as to whether or not Qui-Gon Jinn would have done a better job with Anakin Skywalker. And to me, it probably would have been a big resounding no. I don't think Qui-Gon Jinn would have done as good of a job with Anakin as Obi-Wan Kenobi did. Why do I think that? Well, let's take a look at this scene and then we'll talk about it. The Council explains that Anakin is strong with the Force. When asked by Qui-Gon whether Anakin would be trained, they say no, he's too old. But Qui-Gon, being that he is, says, well, he's the chosen one. You must see it. And they all just kind of nonchalantly blow him off with that. But Yoda does say that the young man's future is clouded. Now, what did you see in this scene? Did you see Qui-Gon going against the wishes of the Council, as he normally did? He even turned down a spot on the Council because he didn't agree with all of their politics, rules, and dogma. But no, that's not what I'm talking about in this scene. In this scene, what I'm talking about is Anakin's face. When they said no, he's not to be trained, Anakin's face went angry. And Qui-Gon said, he is the chosen one. You must see it. Now, why would you tell somebody they're the chosen one right in front of their face? Especially a 9-year-old child. That's a lot of responsibility to put on somebody. That's a lot of weight to put on a child. Now, maybe I'm thinking in our own world terms. We would never tell a child, you're the chosen one. I don't think we'd tell Jesus when he was 9 years old that, you're the son of God, dude, and you're going to do great things. No, let him live as a child, and then when he's old enough to become that, then you start coaching him. But Jedi are different. Jedi, they start their training at a very young age, at toddler age usually, and Anakin was a little too old to begin his training at 9 years old. So yeah, a lot of weight is already put on a Jedi in training, but how many Jedi in training have been told, you're the chosen one, you're going to do great things? None before this point that we know of. So Qui-Gon Jinn made a mistake by even mentioning that Anakin was the chosen one in front of Anakin. That should have been done with Anakin not present in the room. Anytime we hear Obi-Wan Kenobi talk about Anakin Skywalker being the chosen one, it's in close quarters with just him and one other or maybe two other people. Anakin is not present. Obi-Wan's not putting that kind of burden on Anakin until Anakin turns to the dark side and he tells him, you are the chosen one. You are supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them. That is when he released that information. That's when he said, okay, yeah, I'm on the whole mindset that Qui-Gon thinks the prophecy's true, that you're the chosen one. But now you've destroyed that. Okay, so Qui-Gon was a little hot-headed when he was told that Anakin wasn't to be trained, and he let out some information that he otherwise probably shouldn't have let Anakin know. Okay, would that make him a bad trainer of Anakin? No. Qui-Gon Jinn's still a great Jedi. Just because he goes against the dogma and the doctrine of the Jedi Order doesn't mean he's a bad Jedi. It means that he follows the living force, whether that's going along with the Jedi teachings or if it's going against what their rules and boundaries are. But look at it again. He already had one apprentice turn to the dark side. Now, Xanatos didn't become a Sith, he just became a dark Jedi because the Sith had not been discovered at that point. That's while Obi-Wan was still very young, before the Phantom Menace, before Darth Maul came about, before Sidious took over the Senate. Well, he is the Senate. Now, Obi-Wan as an apprentice was a very patient person. He was very patient with Qui-Gon. They did have their tensions because Obi-Wan wanted to follow the Jedi Order's beliefs and systems, where Qui-Gon would butt heads with the Council because he followed the living force, and sometimes that, like I said, it does go against what the Jedi teach, and Obi-Wan would butt heads and have tensions with Qui-Gon because of it, because Obi-Wan wanted to follow the teachings of the Jedi Order. That's the order he was indoctrinated into. That's the order he's been raised into. And that's the order as a youngling he was taught was right. Okay, so back to Anakin. Anakin's already a troubled youth. He's already angry. He's left his mother, which all Jedi do. They leave their parents, but Anakin was a little older when he left his mother. He had already gained that attachment to her, so he knew his mother, and that made it especially hard for him. But Anakin was already an angry child. Qui-Gon Jinn was a little more balanced. He did follow the light side teachings. He did follow the living force and kept that in himself. And that's how he learned to become one with the force and become able to contact the living after he was gone. But this isn't a question whether Qui-Gon Jinn was a good Jedi or not. This is a question of whether Qui-Gon Jinn could have done better with Anakin Skywalker. Could he have prevented his turn? And I think no, he couldn't have prevented his turn. There's no way, because Qui-Gon Jinn was very emotionally unattached to his Padawans. You could see it with Obi-Wan Kenobi, that they didn't have that father-son or even brotherly dynamic that Obi-Wan and Anakin did. Qui-Gon Jinn was very emotionally unattached. That's probably one of the doctrine that the Jedi Order had set out that Qui-Gon Jinn did follow very well. He didn't stay emotionally attached to his Padawans and then let them go once their time was up. How do I know this? Because look at that scene one more time that I showed you. He was ready to throw Obi-Wan out there and say, okay, I'm done with him. I'm done teaching this guy because here's the next better thing right here. It's Anakin Skywalker. He is the chosen one that we've been looking for to destroy the Sith. And at this point, they didn't even know the Sith had existed still. They thought, that the Sith had been gone for 1,000 generations. Yes, Qui-Gon and Anakin encountered Darth Maul in the desert on Tatooine, but they didn't know what he was. And it wasn't big enough of an issue for them to think, this is a Sith, the Sith are back, so we need the chosen one. No, instead they had the chosen one first, and then the Sith came, in their eyes at least. So I think Qui-Gon Jinn's unattached nature to his Padawans would have actually probably sped the process up a little bit of Anakin turning to the dark side. Palpatine could have swooped in a little earlier and taken him right out from under his wing. Not that Qui-Gon was a bad mentor at all. He was a great mentor. Look how Obi-Wan Kenobi turned out. Turned out great. But also look at what a great Jedi Obi-Wan Kenobi was, and how he followed the doctrine and the rules, and he did form an attachment to Anakin Skywalker, an emotional bond, a brotherly bond, and still Anakin turned to the dark side. He didn't feel he could talk to Obi-Wan about what was going on with him. So how would he have been able to talk to Qui-Gon about it? Sure, Qui-Gon might have been able to curb his anger a little bit and say, look, dude, you need to calm down. Stop obsessing over things. Stop internalizing everything and just be, a Jedi. But in our own world, when a child is emotionally distraught, how do they act when we tell them, stop being emotionally distraught? They get more emotionally distraught. You have to approach it in a different way, and I don't think Qui-Gon had those type of tools available to him to help Anakin through those tough situations. Obi-Wan Kenobi did. Obi-Wan was very patient with him. And if you think about it, had Anakin been under Qui-Gon and became Darth Vader anyway, that means that Qui-Gon Jinn's mentor, Count Dooku, and his own Padawan, Anakin Skywalker, would have became Sith Lords. What would that have done to Qui-Gon Jinn? Now, this is a big what if, the whole video here is just a what if, because none of it actually happened. We had Obi-Wan train Anakin, and Anakin fall to the dark side and become Darth Vader. The brotherly bond between the two was still not strong enough for Anakin to trust Obi-Wan enough to give him the information that was bothering him. He went to Yoda, but then he didn't trust Obi-Wan enough. So he still turned to the dark side. And I don't think he would have trusted Qui-Gon Jinn at all with that kind of information. Yeah, he would have had his anger issues, but that would have been easily slapped around, but it still wouldn't have fixed his internal struggles. So I think the mentor that was given to Anakin Skywalker as an Obi-Wan Kenobi was the right mentor for the job. I think Anakin was going to turn to the dark side regardless, because he didn't have that faith within himself to talk to his brother-like mentor. And I'm sure most everyone's going to disagree with me on that, and that's fine. Let me know in the comments if you do disagree, or even if you agree, which I'm not expecting a lot of people to do. But let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you and engage with you. And this is Gerald from Star Wars Fanatic, signing off and wishing you all great health and happiness. Thank you for watching, and remember, this is the way, the only way.